Thank you.
So I think a couple of weeks ago, we had a team meeting in Heidi's office, and Celia looked at me and said, so what do you do when you come in every day? And I go, I just try and sell stuff. And everybody's kind of like, ha ha, whatever, not really. And then afterwards, Heidi was like, yeah, you're going to do the next lunch and learn, and it's going to be on planning and strategy and limited, inventory and outserts, because while I say, yeah, I just kind of come in and wing it and try and sell stuff, there's a little bit more below the surface. There's a little bit more, nuance and massage and strategy to it. So just really quickly, yeah, strategy. So just quickly, I think it's important to, and actually I saw this morning, can't remember his name now, but Admiral, he was interviewed, but his new book is Make Your Bed. And he's like, yeah, in the Marine, in SEAL training and Marine training, you learn like the number one thing: make your bed. And if you can't make your bed right, how in the world are you going to be able to do, this mission or this other task or cleaning your weapon correctly or whatever it is? So there's other things in that, but it's just the baby steps of getting into a routine, having a process, personalizing it to yourself, and figuring out what works for you. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. It's what's right for you, what works for you. So just in leading up to this, I found that video that wouldn't play, but the Bloomberg thing on Google and food and eating together. And when you eat together, families eat together, and then they work as a team. And Google also has this thing where, and work towards a shared goal, but Google also has this concept of 20% time. And for 20% of your day, you can do whatever you want. And so they found that during that meal time, the engineers and people would share ideas and best practices, and hey, is this a good idea? Should I even try this or whatever? So I thought it was a really good illustration of Team Bowie and getting together, eating food, sharing ideas and best practices, and so on and so forth. So really quickly, like I just saw this the other day, I thought a couple of points are a little more interesting than others, but I do think it's important. And I kind of like when I start my day, it was Abraham Lincoln. People are as happy as they make their minds up to be. You got to manage your mood. A lot of times I'm not good at this, but I'm working on it. Amy's snickering over here next to me. Yeah, guys, sit next to that guy. He's really bad at that. But like,
the year of yes.
Yeah, exactly. Year of yes, most of the time. So no, and I'm working on this too. Don't check. And I'm in my mind, it's like when I first wake up. I'm a terrible sleeper, but like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, do not look at your phone. It's really, really, really bad for your brain. Phone emulates the sunlight, so it's just really terrible. Like, do not check email in the morning it's really hard to do until you get to work. And during Sean's lunch, we were talking about distractions, which we'll get to a little bit too, but I'm challenging myself to leave my phone in my pocket when driving to work as well. Not only there, but like here at work, like just don't look at your phone, because there's no such thing as multitasking. And if you get distracted, every time a little Facebook thing or a text message or whatever, we're just so bombarded constantly all day long that studies show it takes like 15 minutes to actually really get back to focus of where you work. So, checking email first thing in the morning, like and personal experience, I checked an email laying in bed, and I was like, I was like, oh man, oh, and it just set me in this terrible mood for the rest of the day. So I'm trying to avoid that. I'll send this out to you if you want, but it expounds on all this stuff too. But I think, this is a big deal or a big point, before you try and do something really at all, much less faster, you got to ask yourself, hey, is this really need to be done? And we have so many processes here that sometimes I'm just like, gosh, why do we do it this way? But the more important things I think down here is talking about distractions. Do not let stuff bog you down when it's getting in the way of achieving your goal. And then
I would like to say something real quick about
sure.
Challenging if you should do something at all, because we all do things because that's the way we've always done them.
Right.
And it's a really good practice to think about, what is it I'm really attempting to achieve? What's the end result that I need to achieve? And is there a better way to do it? Because there might be. And we are just doing it a certain way because we've always done it that way. So I would encourage you to think about that and to talk to Douglas and Celio and I about, whether it's territory, doing our monthly open territory meeting to fill those gaps and not always having to do things the way we've always done them. We don't have to do that. So, be creative with things that we're doing. And if you find that there's something, Matt's the one that came to me about being able to sort your report by ACTW. And
good thing Sean got that done for me.
Sean got that done. Yeah. We all can admit Sean has much more pull than I do. So, and he got it done. I can probably close out my essay. It's true. Anyway, but it got done, and that's a really helpful way. So don't just think in your mind, oh gosh, I wish it could be this way. Like, talk to us about it, and I'm not saying everything could be done a different way or a better way, but there may be better ways to do things. And I know that Ridgely has experienced that with me.
Yeah. And the important part is being open to change. And so actually, I didn't include it, but you posted something on Facebook, an article a couple weeks ago or whatever, that the top 3 things I took away were, don't get stuck in a status quo type of, well, that's just the way we've always done it. Let's keep doing it that way. Don't, poo-poo, or if you've got, I think the term they used was a visionary. Like if there's a visionary, don't, shut them down. You'll be open to their ideas. And then I don't remember what the third thing was.
Remember this.
Remember these 3 things. So anyway, so have a personal system, and as you'll see, I've kind of got my own little way of doing things. But and this is kind of my quote from with Celia, like I don't know, I just kind of wing it. I just kind of try and sell stuff. But you'll see there's a little bit more behind it. But I think it's really, really important to have a routine. And I'm like a very structured, goal-oriented, visual person, as you'll see, and it really helps me to just kind of have a set schedule. And hey, what's my goal today? Okay, not even today. What's my goal this morning? Okay, what can I do next? Like it's like, hey, I joke with Heidi and Doug. I'm like, Douglas, like I'm a golden retriever. Throw the ball. I'll go get the ball. I'll come back and then throw the next ball. Okay. What's next? Yeah. Hit me. You love me? Okay, cool. Let's go.
He's Zoe on steroids.
Zoe on steroids. I guess that's a compliment.
Yeah, it is.
Zoe Bowie.
Mm-hmm.
And then define your goals. Well, I'm using Bowie instead of curse words, so define your goals. And I would take this.
Did you drink before coming to work?
I have not had a drink since last Saturday. I'm really excited about tonight because I'll have at least one. So I think not only defining goals the night before, but the week before, that morning, just constantly evaluating, okay, what takes precedent over this task or that, okay, so wait, yeah, I was supposed to do this, but, and we'll get more into putting one thing aside because something else is more either pressing, time relevant, or important for helping Heidi, helping their quarter, their month, their, so on and so forth. And so, technically the title of today is strategic planning, outserts, and limited inventory. So, when I think of strategic planning, and to me, it's all about having those goals and a plan. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? So I don't quite do this every week anymore just because I've been doing it long enough that I kind of just do it by feel. But I would highly, highly, highly recommend, especially like, somebody like in Mark's shoes or Amy maybe, or anybody it helps anybody. This was the format that I came to utilize the most. Basically like, hey, like what are the most urgent things that need to be achieved this week? And the main things that I used were per call plan. Like, okay, what books am I calling what day? Obviously like, hey, how much goal do I need to, what do I need to get to that number, whether that's hitting my budget or the book budget or getting the target or whatever it is. Sean, I think, used to use this format a lot. I don't know if he still does, but it's kind of the same thing, but also nice. It's got your call log, but then also, hey, look, organized by closing date instead of just by week. What book is my number one priority? When does it close? How much is left to sell? What's the priority level? And I'll share these with you guys if you don't already have them. But if you're not using this, I would definitely recommend it. I also, I harp on with Mark. I'm like, all right, what's your I guess I can't rotate. What's your AM and PM? Like, it's like, oh man, I got 21,000 this month. How am I going to do that? It's like, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. So don't think, holy cow, I gotta sell 21,000 this month. It's like, no. How much do you have to sell today? And not only that, how much do you have to sell this morning? And so that really helps with not only just having that goal in mind, and for me, it's a sale in the morning and a sale in the afternoon, ideally $1,000 or more. But in my mind too, it helps you remember, okay, look, they don't want the outside back cover, but let's just downsize. All I got to get today, what's your AM and PM goal, Mark?
My AM and PM goal?
We just talked about this yesterday. You should know this.
It's $735.
I thought it was $537, but I'm dyslexic, so that's so you're talking to this guy, when you're on the phone with somebody, and it's like, no, that's too much. We talked about it yesterday with APPA. It's like, don't forget to downsize, because yeah, it's great to hit the home runs every day, but the reality is, I want to hit instead of one home run every week or every month, I want to hit singles every single day. I want to hit 3 out of 4 every time, every game, every day. And so that's to me is a good reminder. Also, when you're planning your week, I think it's important to say, look, where do I need to focus my energies, and what have I already gotten to this week, and what do I need to do? I usually do this on Wednesday or Thursday and say, okay, look, I know I got to call on these 3, 4, 5 books, whatever it is, and don't let anything fall through the cracks. So, it's like this helps you plan out. Again, every day I'm cognizant and aware and looking and saying, okay, this was my plan, but life happens when you're making other plans. So what do I need to do today?
Let me ask a quick question.
Sure.
How many of you are using that weekly game plan right now?
3.
Okay. And
Eric.
First thing I do every morning is
Cool.
open up my.
And I know it's not necessarily that format. I mean, I know Mark has his own thing that he does in Excel, and I think a couple of other things. I think you've seen like the Excel format. It's probably evolved a lot since this is so old, because I'm so old. But
okay, this is what we were talking about earlier this week, about how maybe this would be the training that could help with that. So I think is that something that you saw in the training when you first came on board, and it has just.
Yeah, I think so. It's been a while since I did the initial training, but what I brought up to Heidi was I've got 6 really core projects. Do you go through and do do you break them up? Do I do CFMA, NASBP, AM, PM, or do I try to?
Funny you should ask that. Fred, how do I rotate this, or can I rotate this?
Right click on that and.
Well, here, we'll just do it the other way. I wanted to show you this because, yeah, just do this. So okay, in answer to your question, and these are the next things I was going to go to. When you find yourself in a situation of what do I do today, this is what I do. I pull up a couple of reports. Your territory report by ACTW, so it automatically prioritizes what is closing next and what is, in my mind, most urgent. So, like we were talking the other day, it's like, okay, for today's oil and gas call-a-thon, let's focus on UGA. I hang this, there's several, I'm visual, so I hang several things up. If you ever stop by, you'll see, this is one of the things that I do every week, usually Thursday or Friday, preparing for the next week. I'll print out territory by ACTW, and by quarter, this is the other thing that I would suggest utilizing if you're not already, but your projects to target report, because I'll show you why, horizontally, not vertically. I wanted to show you the other way, like the pre-printed, like the older version, because what it shows you is, okay, I've got X amount. That is not what I wanted. employee project target by sales rep. Basically, it builds in your urgency of what should I do today, what should I do this week, right? Because you can see, and I do this by quarter, you can do it by month, it's whatever you want to do. So if I find myself tomorrow morning not here and hungover, I'll say, what am I going to do on Monday? And so this report will guide me. So basically I'll see, okay, look, I'm short a target on Loga. We're basically in sales close. I need to go to Celio and see if I can get Outserts or digital spots to make up this budget. FRW, it's outside of our tier, but I'm going to ask Mike, hey, I'm super close. My last renewal didn't come in. Hey, can I have cleanup, Outserts, whatever it may be to try and get to target. So between your quarter, your project to target, and then also your territory report. Hey, thanks, Mike. What happened to territory report? Yeah.
I think it's down in the.
Oh, yeah. It's one of these crystal report deals.
Yeah.
Projects. I don't want that. So between these two reports, Doug, I would, in answer to your question, okay, so for example, I have six projects that are, all of equal importance, right? So we've got APP, we've got UGA, we've got BAK, we've got FBP, we've got PAA, we've got ALPs on the next page, we've got IIAB. So what am I, don't let yourself become overwhelmed by, oh man, I've got this elephant. It's, okay, well, what am I going to do on Monday? I'm going to call on APP on Monday. Why? Because it closes the soonest, and I'm not at target yet. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't call it if you are at target, but it's just a way to say, what do I do? Okay, this answers that question.
And you're going to dedicate that full day to it, not split it up with anything else.
That to me is a personal choice. I prefer to do 2 different projects on the same day, but if it depends on it. Like ALP, I've got so many renewals that usually takes up a whole day. So again, what I do in this weekly game plan, what ideally is work 1 project in the morning and 1 project in the afternoon. What I want to, the evolution of what I want to do now with ad copy collection, with strategizing, working with Mark, I want to use Monday basically as an administrative day and get my ducks in a row for the remainder of the week. And so, okay, what leads am I going to call for IAB, whatever it is. But then Tuesday, in the morning, I want to have it ready to go, ideally 25 calls on this project, whatever it is, 25 calls on this project in the afternoon. But again, if you prefer to dedicate a whole day to a single project, it doesn't matter what I do. It matters what works for you. So kind of dovetailing into looking at your quarter and seeing, okay, what budgets are here and there. I was looking at this the other day. There's got to be a way. Here, I guess I'll just save it, aren't I? Oh,
Control shift. Save it.
Close the little go to meeting.
Control shift what?
It used to be Control Shift Plus, but I think it's because you don't have it saved. Yeah, go ahead and save it.
It's probably on my desktop. Yeah, let's not do that. So anyway, the other day, out of just curiosity, so Mark and I have been working together for a couple months, and so just out of curiosity, no, it's not going to do it. All right. What do you say? Fudge-sticles? Heidi?
Yes. Fiddlestick.
Fiddlestick.
Fudge.
All right.
Fart.
So farch.
Yes.
I mean, that just kind of just sounds like fart. Might as well just say it. All right. So just out of curiosity, the other day, let's see, current year to date. Year to date, and you'll do this. Year to date ending yesterday. I was like, you know what? Let's just kind of see where Mark is. He's entering his 2nd year, and I'm going to pick on Mark a little bit for the remainder of today's session. It's pretty good.
Look up on the 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I look at this. Oh, thanks, Jim. So I look at this, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess he's doing pretty good. for comparison, here's his like area for improvement. But I didn't want to show him this. I didn't want to show him this first. I didn't want him to get a big head and be like, hey, look at the big brain on Mark. So then I went to last year. Yeah, 7 to 12 should work, right, John?
No, he didn't,
Well, I'm looking at what I was showing you.
but you can,
Oh,
you
yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah.
report because he's in month 13 or
Well, no, for last year. It would show last year.
Yeah, it still pulls reps that are in this time
Yeah.
period last year.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, look at the small brain on Matt. Okay, so so I didn't want to show him hey, you're doing really well, you're number 2. I showed him this one first because I'm like, hey, you suck. We'll break you down. We're gonna break you down and build you back up, son. Make your bed. So I'm like, all right. So here's how just for my own information, I was kind of like, okay, here's how he was doing last year, and then I pulled up, this year to date, and I was like, okay, cool, and so I'm like, all right, I don't know who this Steven guy is. We're gonna ground him into dust and leave him in our dust trails, man. And so then Mark, so I go, okay, you're doing, here's your one room area of improvement. And so his question was, well, I mean, I'm already doing this, everything I can, like, there's nothing else I can do. And I was like, pump the brakes, hold on. That's not the case. There's always an OFI, right, Morgan?
Yeah.
And so this is where you can most easily make up some ground, and it goes back to looking at that territory report and seeing, hey, okay, look, Doug, let's just pretend that this is Mark's project target. Hey, Doug, I'm short of this budget. Can I get some outserts, some cleanup, some digital spots, or whatever? Because let's say you sell an outsert like you did on GTL, that will not only help this if you had active territory on GTL. It would not only help this number, your print renewal targets, but it would also help your total sales. It would help your new sales. It would help, if you got the target, it would help your print hit-miss, It would help your total sales. So when you say, so like when Heidi's like, so yeah, what's your strategy on outserts? It's like, there's so much more than just saying, oh yeah, I just want to go sell outserts. So this is something to always be aware of. I don't really look at it anymore because I'm so far down on the 3rd or 4th page or whatever, but we'll look at Mark's because it makes me feel better. So we talked about, oh yeah, and also like, good grief, this is just going to driving me nuts. Somebody hung up on me. I wasn't interested enough. Yeah, no, I guess so. All right, so.
Click on what you want to open
Well, I was just going to say,
and say open with
there you go.
or not.
Yeah, it worked.
Okay.
So now that, we've got it sorted by ACTW, this is another thing that you want to look at on either Friday or Monday morning. Just say, hey, look, you got to be aware of ad copy. Also, we'll talk more about outserts too as far as deadlines, but you got to be aware of, hey, how much do I have, pending this week, today, this month, this was yesterday. So I'm like, okay, that's my priority as far as ad copy collection. Next week, it's going to be this. It's going to, so again, this is something that I print out and I keep on my desk at all times and do it. This I do daily. Because hopefully stuff's getting turned every day and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So AM/PM goal, we talked about calls, we talked about President's Excellence, project target, Any questions thus far? Comments, concerns, questions?
My only suggestion would be is to pull the report for the month, not the quarter.
Yeah.
Now, for me, it's obviously a lot different from you guys. But if you pull it for the month and you focus it like usually around the 28th, I pull it. I look at my books that are closing in the next month. And then I've got a game plan of what I have to tackle. And then if there are certain circumstances, like he had that Florida rural water book that he's missing by $400, at that point I can go to that person and say, hey, this closes at the end of next month. I want to be on your radar full cleanup for that. How do I do that? What do you need to make that happen? I'm going to the project manager and them to make him more aware, so that you're proactive.
You don't wait. Don't wait till the last minute. Yeah.
And just my experience is it's just mine, that's overwhelming. If you pull it by quarter, it's just.
Well, you can't do the one that I do for myself. I do by quarter, but then I basically outline month by month.
Okay.
So I only look at this month, and then I say, okay, well, we're basically, let's just assume it's March. I'm like, okay, so we're basically at the end of the month, but I want to look forward to April and see what's going on in April. So yeah, like I said, you can pull it by month, you can pull it by quarter, you can pull it by year. It's again, whatever works best for you. But yeah, no, when you're looking at that and you're seeing, okay, we're getting closer to ACTW. I know that, and these are probably Greek terms to them, but when you're getting close to the book closing, don't wait until it's either closed or almost, rip date. You got to be proactive and email, in the case of FRW, email Mike. I don't know if I copied Emily or not, but hey, I'm short of target on this. Any chance I can get, Outserts or whatever, clean up, yada, yada, yada. And then set a reminder for yourself to follow up.
And just to add on to that, I know that you've all heard Matt and Sean both coming to us and saying, hey, what about, and even in our territory meetings, when we're asking you as the project leader on your project to come in and say, what do you want your cleanup strategy to be, this is where this is coming from. They're looking at this, they're planning ahead based on looking at this report. So, and we, meaning Douglas and Celio, and then I just get to listen every Monday morning on what our strategies are, we really appreciate that help. It helps us when you're being proactive and you come to us and say, okay, this is what I'd like to do, this is where we are at, and this is what I want to do. We want you to take that leadership role on your project and tell us, come to us and have a plan on what you think is the best strategy, because we can come to you with what we think, but you are the project leader, you know what we should be doing on it, and take that leadership role and use this process to be able to manage that. And when we have our territory meeting, be prepared as a project leader to come in and say, this is what I have, this is what I need, who's going to come on board and help.
It also helps too, like when so FRW, if I don't remember who I copied, but ideally, and what I would recommend, it's probably kind of annoying to some people, but I should email the project manager, the book leader, and also Emily, because then when Heidi comes to me and says, hey, what do you want to do for cleanup? Well, it was pretty cool. Doug already emailed me saying, hey, I'm short of $400, would love to help out and clean up, keep me in mind for XYZ. Hey, Amy already said, I've got this one client that I really want to call, whatever it is. So it's just open communication, making sure that everybody is on the same page as far as, instead of just, okay, well, what do you want to do for cleanup?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And to add to that, Tracy just came to me. We had an inactive rep on Michigan Sherm. We just had the meeting, and I got it so far in advance, we could actually put them on the cleanup meeting. So part of our strategy was I didn't have to do it separately. So definitely the book leader, because that's when Tracy brought it to me. We talked about it. We put it into play, and then the next day she has the leads and she's good to go. So, yeah, definitely include the book leader, include the project manager. But, yeah, I want to add that.
So, hopefully that kind of shows or illustrates that there is a little bit more strategy or thought process behind, what I'm doing. But it's, the second component of the training was going to be for Outserts. And so ironically, everybody, not everybody, so many people have said, how do you sell so many Outserts? What are you doing? And I keep forwarding to myself so that it doesn't get deleted. But this is the good old fashioned Vicki Sherman strategy from January 2015. Oh no, sorry, that's when I forwarded it. January 2010, right? So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'll show, just kind of do a quick rundown of her thing and then kind of my little bit of a tweak on it. So basically, I was, 6 months in, I guess, and Vicki was, I guess, doing the training or just sharing her best practices. And so the basic concept of the Outsearch strategy, and a key point here, let's just pretend that you get assigned Outsearch, right? But it's important to do your own advertisers before they get reassigned to some dope like me to then go and try and sell them something that you never pitched or didn't have the opportunity to or forgot or whatever it is. So, her strategy in the basic email format, it has not really, I'll show you my simple, tweak or whatever it is to it, but it's just very basic. But there's some key elements built in here that then I've extrapolated to other things, and you'll see, in the next sort of phase of things. But it's kind of a last chance opportunity. It's a limited space. There's only a certain number of companies that we allow to do this, so it's basically exclusive. I don't put that they get 25% off if they have a current ad, unless they ask for it. But down the list and then email everybody. All I did was I noticed that, her strategy is call, email, right? And so I was doing this, and I would start, calling, emailing, or whatever. And then I started noticing that people that I emailed would either call me back or email me back an insertion order while I'm still trying to get through the calls. So the simple tweak on this is, instead of just calling, and then email everybody, I email everybody and then I try to call them and say it's more of a follow-up call. Hey, I don't know if you just got my email. We're wrapping up this upcoming issue. It's a simple pitch, because in my mind, there's three types of people when it comes to direct mail. They've either tried it and they love it, they've tried it and they hate it, or they have never done it and they're on the fence, right? It's really, it's kind of like one instead of a 90-10 rule, it's more of a 1 in 100 type of thing. It's trying to find that one or two people in that demographic that either just went to a show and have a postcard left over, love direct mail, or, man, we've been thinking about doing that. Tell me more. So, my format is very, very similar to Vicky's. So here's CAOC that we just did not too long ago. So again, it's just, it's short, it's to the point. Again, being completely, I don't put the promo page first. I put the rates page first. It's, hey, what I've added to is that this is not a free option. So many people are like, oh, cool, I've got a postcard. Yeah, I'll send it to you. When do I get it to you? This is free, right? Did you see the attachment? So it's basically very simple. Hey, do you have something you'd want to send out with the upcoming, directory? It ships in April. I try to build in a couple of qualifiers that it can't be something crazy big. It can't be super heavy. This is how many people we need, or pieces we need. There's 5 companies total, and we have 3 spots left. So you're automatically building in limited time, limited space, lost opportunity, and exclusivity. So here's the email, and here's the results. Hey, can we provide a piece? Yeah, we'll do this, and let's see. This was at, I don't know if this is the same example. Yeah, so this is at February 22nd, 23rd. Here's the IO. It's like, okay, cool. And so Mark and I did this together, and it was like, he walks over and he's like, I just got an IO. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. He's like, I didn't even call him. And I was like, okay. It's like it's not even fair. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of cool, right? So again, let's see, this was, no, they took their sweet time. They didn't get it. Oh, I forwarded it. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Anyway. Yeah, exactly.
Got on phone in 2 days.
And that was no thank you approved. That was just, here's the form signed.
Yeah, exactly. Again, you're just looking for those folks who are either ready to pull the trigger right now or super interested in finding out more information. And when you're calling through, it's just that simple. It's the qualifying question is, hey, hey, it's Matt from Naylor calling regarding the directory, limited exclusive opportunity. Do you guys do direct mail? And if they're like, nope, we hate it, have a great day. Love it. What do you got? Okay, let's talk. And then, well, we've thought about doing it. Sounds kind of cool. What are you offering? So taking what sort of, taking the ball that Vicky tossed and starting to run with it and selling a boatload of outserts, then I started thinking, okay, well, why wouldn't this work for other avenues or other opportunities? And so as we were talking about in Sean's presentation, why wait? We get into this cycle of kind of waiting to the last minute and being like, oh crap, we're not to target. What are we going to do? Let's try and get it there. And so I'm kind of calling limited inventory, which is the third component of the presentation, as kind of that last ditch effort, because we've had some examples from recently that illustrate it pretty well. But I think it's important to try and get to a place where when a book opens, we are more proactive about identifying, okay, inside back cover is open. Let's go sell that. So every day that Doug decides, okay, my priority this week is XYZ project. What is the best available prime position? You know, that is my objective. That's what I'm going to pitch. And again, you know, you don't want to start with a logo and profile because you can't go, it's so much harder to go up than it is to go down. Like, you want to start high. I'm not saying that you should oversell a mom and pop, you know, if somebody can afford and wants to do a business card, then sell them a business card. But when you're talking to, you know, an IBM, I would never go in and saying, well, you know, you should probably do a baseline package, $850 for the year. What do you think? Can we okay. How about $350? $350. So
That's a sweet pitch.
yeah. Oh no. You need to think about it. No, it's probably isn't for you anyway. Talk to you later. Bye. So we'll just kind of go down the path a little bit more of sort of that last chance thing. And this is, you know, Mark's right. It's fun when you're selling, you know, and I think we sell more later in the sales cycle because we have all those things already built in. We're already more compelled because we have such a short turnaround time. We convey that portion of it because we literally have 2 days left. Whereas at the beginning, and we were talking about yesterday in the APP meeting, it's like, you know, Chasen, don't ever give out the actual deadline unless the deadline is like 2 weeks away, because, you know, if you tell somebody the deadline is May 1st, they're going to wait till May 1st. And so I think that's why it's hard for me, I think probably for me, my snowflake sensibilities, when you're early in the sales cycle, to try and push that urgency or that time frame. That's why you got to pick a position or pick a, you know, I'm selling 2 of this category, I'm selling this spot, I'm selling this, yada, yada, yada.
I think,
Go ahead. I was just going to say, why does the urgency have to be time?
Right.
Why can't the urgency be
Position.
the position
Right.
that somebody else is going to take it?
well, it's like,
Exactly.
Or
What
the
bar
position
is
is selling out early.
Mhm.
When I'm calling on the STO directory,
Right.
it's like May,
Yeah.
something, but I'm not going to tell them that. I say, look, this is a big issue.
Right.
It's only once a year. They hold on to it all year long, and it sells out really early. So I suggest that you look at it now
And,
and make it a priority.
and don't forget to use the ad to edit ratio, guys, because our books can't have 100% ads.
I use that all the time.
Yeah, the ad to edit ratio, this is sold out when we have hit our threshold of ads to editorial, and after that, you could come back and I could not accept it.
Will not
Right.
oversaturated.
And
they do actually
anytime,
sell
yeah,
out.
anytime I sell a directory or a special issue of anything, I always tell them, you know, yeah, you might, because they'll look at the media kit and say, well, I still have 3 months.
Right.
Well, you might think you have 3 months.
Right.
But like with NFC, New York Fire, I tell them, listen, this is a big show. This thing sells out
Yeah.
way in advance. So let's book it now.
There's a magazine in Atlanta that's sold out because the association won't give us, they won't allow more ad pages. It's been sold out for like 4 or 5 issues.
Yeah.
They're on like a waiting list for it.
So in fact, I tell them, I use the waiting list line. You know, I can put you on a waiting list, but that's probably what's going to happen if you wait till next month.
Right.
You know, Doug can tell you, I always say, well, especially with banners. Oh my God, I love banners.
Well, okay.
The only
I'm
banner left
really
have to act now. It'll be
Yep.
sold by 5 p.m. today.
I'm really glad you mentioned that, because this whole concept applies really, really, really well to nailing it. Like, this is it's an outsert strategy, but it's a nailing it strategy.
Yep.
I've got 4 spots left.
It doesn't matter what you're selling.
Yeah.
Well,
People
even
will
add into that
perfect-
when you're planning, you can plan on selling specific positions each day. Like in the AM, I'm selling this leaderboard specifically.
I'd rather just sell them all there.
Laurent
Well, I was-
said it before.
The best
told me
available.
There you go.
He used to like tell people on the phone, like, I have this IFC, I'm gonna sell it today.
Yeah.
Like, he'll call me, he's like, if it's not you, it's gonna be the next person I call. If it's not, like, I'm selling the inside front cover today.
So we talked, in Sean's thing about trying to be more proactive and sending out, emails. And I always suggest when you're making a phone call, you leave a voicemail. I say hit send on the email as the phone's ringing, because then if you get to the decision maker, you've already avoided the send me something, because hey, I just sent you an email, wanted to follow up with a phone call instead of them saying, oh yeah, let me send me something. Well, I just sent it to you. Do you have a minute? I can just show you a couple things. So I'd say, as I'm calling, I try and hit send as I'm calling.
Yeah, and that's when I say, can you open that email and let's talk.
Do you have a minute? Because then it's like, oh yeah, I'm interested in that. And if you're not already using Email Hunter, you should be.
I love Email Hunter.
Because I think it's just such a
Hunter.io.
cool tool. Load out. Because let's say you're on the phone. And so I was working renewals the other day, and the person who I used to work with is not there anymore. Mark, give me a couple. Other than Google, Naylor, or IBM. HP. Thanks.
HP.
Freaking huge, man, huge. It's huge. So I'm not signed in, so it might not give me what I want to see. But what was the company that your guy? We were checking to see if your guy was on there. Do you remember the turf company?
Wasn't it Citrix company?
Do D plus H.
How about,
Any company? Wasn't Citrix the one that you were giving me the example?
I think so. Ironically, we're using Citrix.
I know.
So I may have to log in, but basically this company does, like a couple weeks ago when I was like, okay, you guys are calling oil and gas, don't just call and say, hey, can I talk to the marketing person? Go to their website, go contact us, see if you can find a sales manager or marketing manager, so on and so forth. Just go to LinkedIn or just Google LinkedIn, ABC company, marketing, and see what comes up. This company basically does that already. They compile all these different sources of where these emails for this specific URL, where they come from.
You get a lot of lead sources if you drop down those things too. If you get the marketing director on the hunter.io list, a lot of times you will find lead sources.
Oh, yeah, where they were found.
Where they were found. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
That's good.
And I use a lot, that's where I find a lot of my
That's good.
exhibitor lists and lead sources.
So, Mark, you leaving me hanging, dude? What was yours,
I have
Doug?
one.
What was yours?
Go
Or
ahead.
DNH.
Sorry?
DNH.
no,
D and H?
We looking
hey, first RF.
What was yours, Sean?
First RF.
Well, we'll check that. We'll check. So we'll just check. We'll just look at this one first. So how cool is this? It gives you not only email, but also title, in some cases, phone number. Now, it's not always correct, but
I reached out to
it gives
Becky
you.
Carr since December. Finally, I went on Email Hunter like a few weeks ago and just started emailing everybody on there, and I got to the right person. Thanks to you for
Okay.
showing me that.
Okay. And that's what we were talking about yesterday, and not to pick on him, but he's not here, so I can pick on him. So, I'm like, Chase, are you talking to the decision maker? Or like, there's this, Hinson has this sort of visual description of the hierarchy of decision making. And you've got these influencers, and as you go up and higher the totem pole, you get to the final guy.
I like to start at the president and let him refer me down.
So that's Hinson's strategy. Don't start down at the bottom where it's going to take this decision and this committee and this board and this blah, 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 blah.
Director Jerry, who's the president,
Exactly.
Jerry suggested that I contact you.
Yep.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
Now
and
she's
so
paying attention.
right, and in past experience, like, you talk to the decision maker and you get turned down, and then I'm like, well, screw it, I've already been turned down. I'll just try Becky or whoever it is, try everybody. And then, the person, let's just say Brian, probably not Brian, he's CFO.
I don't think
But-
someone named Chase that.
Yeah, no problem with calling Brian.
But no, so where I'm getting at is if you get a turn down, you've already been told no, why not just swing for the fences? You've already struck out, if you will. So then just try and see if you can get something from somebody. And so there's cases where, let's say Scott's the owner. Scott tells the person that turned me down, hey, we're doing this. Like, go give Matt the insertion order. So sometimes they're pretty salty because they're like, I already turned you down, but now I have to do this. But who cares? So yeah, instead of starting at the bottom, there's two ways to think about it. You start at the bottom, work your way up, start at the top, work your way down, or just send it to everybody. Go after everybody, and see what happens.
Everybody can get you in hot water.
This is true. But
Start at the top, he'll refer you down.
Yeah, but right now the glass is empty. So, what's there to lose? There's nothing to lose. Speaking of nothing to lose, so this is like we'll come back to this. So speaking of nothing to lose.
Have you ever hit your 150 a month on the searches?
Now I'm paying for it.
I was just signing up for it and said like, oh, how much is it a month?
Like $20, I think.
Yes, I have.
Eric Alvin 1 at Gmail. Eric Alvin 2
Yeah.
Gmail. Eric Alvin 3 at Gmail.
Yeah, you did.
Well, it's just how you can like actually hook it into Chrome as an extension. So you can just use it right from your browser when you're searching instead of like going to the Email Hunter website. It's part of the browser now.
That sounds pretty cool. And if you pay for it, then you can actually export it to Excel. But I don't have Excel, so I can't do that.
Yes, you do. I just gave you a login to it.
I'm just playing. So speaking of nothing left to lose, we had our meeting, our financial meeting, and we're like, gosh, can we do anything for Q1 for Doug and Heidi? And so, I volunteered Mark and myself. I guess not volunteering Mark without his knowledge.
No, it's always Eminem. It's
I think
you speak up.
better than 10 cents. Yeah, exactly.
Keep rolling.
Although I think it wasn't you. Unless it was like you volunteered. You committed him to make 45 calls a day? Did he know about this? And I was like, nope. Heidi was asking 45 calls. That's right. Heidi's asking for it. We're going to do it. Okay. So long story short, we were in this meeting, and they're like, does anybody want to try and help with tapping? I'm like, why not? Let's go. And so it was like a Wednesday, and we get the leads, and we're like, oh, gosh, this is going to be a little time-consuming. We don't have time this week. So then we comes to Monday. Literally, the deadline is Tuesday. And we're like, why not? Let's see what happens. So again, this is very similar to the Outsert type of email format, and it's super short, super sweet. Hey, look, last chance. We'll get into subject lines and content, but I think it's short and sweet. We get so many emails and text messages and Facebook notices all the time. You want to grab somebody's attention, either make them read the email or open the attachment. But it's just, hey, we're calling you about this. This comes out in April. Give it, in my mind, try and do like the best bullet point that we've got to build some value. Hey, attached is the details. Let us know. Only comes out once a year. Deadline. Oh, by the way, inside front cover is currently available. So you identify limited time, limited space, lost opportunity, blah, 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 blah. And
before you click on them, to add to the sports story, we had went through RTDs twice. We had already done cleanup. We went to verticals. We had tried everything under the sun, and then Matt came on at this point to help out.
So in this case, it was, this is boring. It was like a quarter page or something like that. But I'll take it all day long. Hey, here's the signed insertion order for the inside front cover. And let's see what time it was. I think it was the next day. So March 6th, and then, March
2 hours later.
Yeah, hey, I'll take the inside cover. Okay, cool. And so
There is some interest.
yeah, there's some interest here. Take my money. So let's see, publication, progress report. So for there's nothing to lose. Like you get a bunch of no's maybe, but we were trying to help Heidi and Doug and Douglas in their quarter. I mean, yeah, I'll take $6,000 for sending out an email. Mark will take $1,000. I think that took you guys from like 79% to 80%.
Send over his daily or his morning quota.
Well, if only I'd sold one for him in the afternoon that day when he was on vacation, then he would have been, in good shape. So again, there's the example. I'm going to keep doing it until it stops working. So, here's one for APGA. It's not in our tier, but it's Amy's project, and Amy wanted some help. And so, same thing, you just pick the biggest, and in my opinion, most important bullet point off of in case somebody's not familiar, hey, inside back cover, currently available. This was on March 3rd.
April 3rd.
Excuse me, April 3rd. I'm dyslexic, remember? And, technically the deadline was the 4th, but, I emailed Laurel because Rick was out, and I'm like, hey, is there any chance if we get somebody that wants to do this, any chance that we can have a little bit more time? Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, let's do that. So again, instead of, and let's just sort of touch on something really quickly too. Instead of, like our media kits, a lot of times, especially with like a periodical, we've got so many different options. And I think a lot of times it's price sticker shock. But when you just dumb things down and make it super simple and have a couple of different options and create sort of an environment of, man, stuff's selling out, like this is the only thing I sold, or only thing I sent. But then I did have somebody saying, hey, do you have anything other than the inside back cover? I was like, yeah, what size head do you want? Half page? Yeah, we can do that. And well, it turned into a, I think, business card, but
Nothing.
yeah, exactly. But again, don't start with the business card. Start with the best deal or opportunity that you've got with the best positioning, and then work down from there.
And then, guys, Doug and Celio, you see how he's got all that sold?
Mhm.
It might help if you put the company names next to it if you purchased it.
Well, I did that.
Yeah, well, you probably did it in yourself with your PDF, right?
Correct.
Yeah. But if you put the company names there, competitors will see that.
So yeah.
Sold, Comcast, sold.
So one of Vicky's things that she used to do in her email was she would, for the Outserts, would say, there's 2 spots left. Here are the companies that have already bought stuff. And I used to do that, but then a couple times people were like, I think it's inappropriate that you put other companies' names in there or whatever. So I stopped doing that. And yes, I like having what company it has that position or whatever. It works really well with like AIA. But, again, this was a last ditch effort, just trying to, help out Amy or whatever. Let's see, what's this? We already talked about Taffy. We already talked about, oh yeah, I also sold a half page on this. So anyway, so it's just keeping things super simple. It's minimizing the distractions, if you will, for the potential advertiser, and saying, look, here's what we are going to do. Or do you want to be a part of it? So again, it works. And what I try to do is set up my sales cycle of, okay, we're 2 weeks away from ACTW. Time to get, this is for me. It's really when I get ramped up, and because for whatever reason, I sell more in the last 2 days of a sales cycle or past ECTW than in the whole sales cycle. And either it's me, I don't know if it's just the motive, it comes across more in the email or the phone or whatever it is, but how do we replicate that throughout the sales cycle? And I think it's choosing a position, it's creating, not falsely creating a sense of urgency, but just being more strategic and trying to figure out how to get that done.
Yeah, if you don't tell them when the end of the sales cycle is, you make it sound like it's a big rush.
Yeah.
Then you don't have that last week of everybody dumping in at the same time.
To Laron's point,
procrastinate. The whole world is full of procrastinators. Huh?
to Laron's point though, if you're only focused on the IFC, the deadline is as soon as I sell it. It could be tomorrow, it could be the end of the week.
I love that. First,
just one
I like to say,
thing.
first assigned order gets it.
Yeah, it's
Act
exactly.
fast.
I mean, that's the thing, and that's kind of the nailing it approach of, look, here's the only spots we've got left. The first person that wants it takes it. I mean, again, very similar format. It's the same format. I mean, it's so boring when you're selling,
Well,
But
I think that in a lot of the book leader updates that I see, and from yours, Matt, and Sean and Debbie in particular, you are reminding your team of these prime positions, and you're always reminding them that this is left, this is the only prime position left, and that creates that urgency for your team. But I think that maybe we're not opening our books with that same urgency. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
if we recognize that, then,
so yeah, exactly, and so it helps too. On Mike and Mark's team, we've sort of started this bundling thing. That okay, let's just do 3 options. Like, okay, there's 2 issues in the magazine, a directory, and an online buyer's guide. Let's just do 3 instead of, well, how much is a half page, and how much is this, and how much is that, and the whole, 5 columns and 30 different ad sizes and black and white color, 3 options, A, B, C. platinum, gold, silver. You know, it's like just which one? Because then it really helps with somebody like Chase. It's like, how much do they want to spend? Like, what's their budget? So when you've just got these, you know, sort of high, medium, low options, and they're like, we're really interested in this. This worked with UGA. That the package, you know, well, you know, we really want to do this, but 10 grand's kind of a lot. Package B is like, you know, 7,500. That might work better. So it's you know, it's getting the wheat away from the chaff.
Yeah.
So again, here this is an UGA deal. You know, it's like, hey, you know, here's what we're doing. We're running out of time here. You know, and again, people get so complacent, especially like agencies. Like when they've got plenty of time, oh, cool, because they're doing the same thing. They're like, what do I have to do today? This is not it. Oh wait, it's due tomorrow. Like I guess I got to pull the trigger or move on. And so again, for UGA, do not forget to pick the best available prime position because you'll sell it. Okay, like it's just stupid. Like I'm not smart, I'm not good. I'd rather be lucky than good. And this is, you know, it works for me and it can work for you. So Tracy's not here, so I can pick on her. Poor Tracy was calling attorneys for MAJ. She made over 300 phone calls. I send one email and sell a tab. So, but again, so it really helps too, I think, and I told these guys this, when you have an experience like that, you got to share it with them, because I said, look, obviously next year we should not deploy somebody calling just attorneys because they're not. She made like 370 calls and she didn't sell anything. So that is clearly, to me, not a worthwhile allocation of time and effort.
Yeah. The other thing that I find interesting about your emails, all of them, that's true, is that there's no color to them.
And okay, you want to know why?
Yeah.
Okay. Years ago,
yeah,
I think it was Melissa Zawada, it was like, anytime you put color, images, logos, graphics, pictures, that is a red flag that will send stuff to spam.
Yeah.
And so that's why I keep saying, like on our e-blast for that marketing sends out, we got, not reinvent the wheel, but it's like we're trying to be fancy and have images and logos and click here and do this and that and the other. It's like, I'd rather just do it this way. Or how do we, not dumb down, that's a bad term, but how do we make our marketing e-blast simpler, easier to digest, and more effective? Because
I was actually told by one of my advertisers, and it was about 2 years ago, he goes, 80% of that stuff in your email, I don't read. So you might as well get to the point, put it in 1 or 2 lines.
Yep.
I would agree. I mean, I get a lot of spam every day, and I 100% agree when there's lots of highlighting and red and, you know, bullet, you know, all of that, I don't read it.
And the other
and so I'm just, I would encourage everybody to
and
take notice
again,
of that.
it's what works best for you, because like, you know, me, short and sweet. But, you know, Henson has these freaking novels in his emails, and I'm like, dude, that is just way too many words. You know, and it's, again, you got to think about it. Like, somebody gets an email on their phone, you know, like, other than, and we'll get more to like the subject line and stuff, but it's like, okay, you know, if you have 15, and I told Barb, I was like, hey, that generic email, like, you've got way too much in your subject line. Like, no, you can't even like read more than 1, 2, 3 or 4 words on your phone, which most people are how they're checking their email.
Amy sent that email out a while ago about the, you know, how people open emails, and she, I've noticed, uses it on me all the time, as LaRon and Matt. But a quick subject line of question, SIOR rate, and then it's literally a 1-second question, not, hey, I was calling on SIOR, this, you know, the Q1 issue, we're almost at budget, you know, what's the rate for this position if I do 3 year, you know, so.
Okay. So we are almost out of time, but I'll just, you know, so for digital edition, it works as well. So it's,
and you're not leading them on. It's very,
no,
they know what it is. They know it's urgent.
There's no you know, again, it's number one thing, not just for this company in my mind, but for me personally, is honesty and integrity.
Yeah.
I say what I mean what I say. You know, it's the way I expect people to be with me, and I come off as abrupt or brusque or an asshole, but I don't care, because that's just who I am. And
you know,
so I don't care. I just don't care. Like, I don't have
the
time
thing you
for
put that it's not a free option, I actually really like that. This is not a free option. That takes
all
the trying to be shady.
Are you trying to sell something? Yes.
So something that I would like for us to talk with our marketing group about is to to test some of our e-blasts that we're sending in this format and not in our traditional format.
So, sorry,
The only potential problem with that is that you're going to have not as much association buy-in because they have to approve those e-blasts and they want them to be pretty and whatnot, so we'd have to figure out how to overcome that.
Okay.
Just ask them if they want to sell stuff or not.
Yeah.
And
So I've seen Heidi get them approved.
I'll take,
Right, remember.
however, images are not,
yeah, they're not
well,
downloaded.
because they don't always download on the phone, so it's actually,
I think we'll work through it.
All right,
It'll be
so
fine.
we're going to wrap up here, but so Amy sent this out, and I've just highlighted the things that I think are most important. You know, Mondays and Fridays are bad days for email campaigns. Marketing does not pay attention to this stuff. I see that we send out emails at like 7 p.m. on a Thursday, and I'm like, what are you doing? You know, so 33% of email recipients open on subject line alone. Subject line more than 3 words, open drop rates by 60%. So, and let's talk about voicemail and try and extrapolate some of these points for the email that works so much or so well and use it. And Amy's been implementing this and it's being more successful. Average voicemail, less than 5% response rate. That is ridiculous. How many phone calls, how many voicemails do we leave every day? It's insane to me. 15% of a sales rep, I think more of our time is spent leaving voicemails, but maybe I'm wrong. Average voicemail, optimal average voicemail. This is what Amy's been doing. Between 8 and 14 seconds, and she's getting more callbacks. And because, you know, if you don't leave, here's what I'm trying to work on. How do I get better? How do I get more response? What do I need to be saying on a voicemail to get a response? And I think it's incorporating, look, again, we're going back to the limited time, limited opportunity, but we have 1 spot left. It's the inside back cover. We have 2 weeks left. I'm selling this today. Let me know if you're interested. Obviously, hey, this is Matt from Naylor. I'm calling about APPA. Yeah. That's the first 2 seconds. Worst times for phone calls, Mondays mornings, Friday afternoon. People are either checking their emails, you know, being hungover, or, you know, whatever. Or leaving early. I'm late for my tea time. Again, and I was talking to Mark about this. He's like, gosh, I've been calling this person so many times. And I'm like, it's such a fine line between being stuck in a callback rut and pursuing it long enough to get the one of the bigger contracts I've ever gotten here. I was like, this is the last time I'm calling this person. I swear to God. And they're like, yeah, we'll do that $30,000 package. And I'm like, well, I'm glad I called.
That's 5 follow-up calls
After your first presentation.
Not
Correct.
5.
Correct. And here's the sad part. Here's the sad part. Almost half of salespeople give up after 1. So you got to at least do 2 follow-ups, people. That's what I'm saying here. Okay, so yeah, and Heidi will appreciate.
Same stat applies to 80%?
Yeah.
After 5 follow-ups? That same stat applies with the number of closing questions you ask.
Yep.
80% buy after the 5th closing type question.
Yep.
So if you're only closing them on the phone like 2 times or 3 times, program yourself to go to at least 5. Because 80% buy after the 5th one.
Yep. Wow. Heidi will be happy to know that sales reps using social media are selling 50% more, half as much more as the dopes like me that are too lazy to do it. 73% of salespeople using social selling as part of their sales process. What was Sean talking about this morning? Putting digital editions on, you know, online, Facebook, LinkedIn, blah, 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 blah. Exceeded quota 23% more often, people using social. So, you know, again, I told Heidi, I'm like, what do you want me to talk about? She's like, I don't really care. I don't know. And I'm like, it's going to be pretty scatterbrained. It's going to be kind of all over the place. Because when you say, how do you sell Outserts? It's going to be like this. So
Just wing it, right?
I just try and sell stuff.
That was a lot. You could have just said, I just saw it.
Hey, thanks for the brisket, Dan. I just try to sell stuff. Okay, so yeah, right. Make your bed. So on a final note, so last time Sean was talking about, you know, what are the goals? And our number 1 goal should be helping Heidi and Doug or Douglas and then each other, right? And so I think, and he was talking about, you know, rental properties and vacations and this, that, and the other. But if I can you know, and I'm trying to coach Mark on this as well. Why is this not opening? But to me, financial security is why I'm here, right? We're here like for work, but it's for a paycheck too, right? So, let's see if this works. Like you gotta have an emergency fund, people. This is what I'm gonna try and share with you here. This is kind of scary. If this doesn't frickin' open, here we go. Now, I don't know if this is all accurate because some of them are contradictory. But every time I feel poor, I look at this. Because it's insane to me, if this has any shred of credibility, the lack of savings that Americans possess, right? So how many people have zero savings? You know, the ones that really stand out to me are, people living paycheck to paycheck, or, and I can send this to you if you want, but where's the one that I really wanted to point out? You know, the number of people that have less than $100 in emergency savings, estimated 22%, don't have $100. Like, this is your number one priority. You know, it's great to have the big picture opportunities of saving $10,000 to go to Hawaii like Sean, but we're not all there yet. And this is where we need to start.
And that's for June.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
gotta set your budgets high, goals high.
Yeah, but it's great to think big, but you got to start small. So you got to start with 500. I mean, Sam, James and Sam, their AC went out, and their mom's AC went out. You know, it's like you've got to be prepared for. It's like you're supposed to have a 3-month emergency fund. I want a 12-month emergency. I want a 20-year emergency fund. Like,
it's called retirement.
Yeah. Yeah, but I want that now.
I highly recommend it.
I want that now. So if I can leave you with anything, it's let's help each other. Let's help Heidi and Doug. But try and don't wait until the last minute in this case, and make sure if you're living beyond your means, you've got to lower your either expand your means or lower your living standard, because I think this is just such a critical thing to keep in the back of your So Jamie would talking about goals. It's like Jamie would put up a picture of a car, visual, and we talked about last time. It's like the people that out of a study of people, those who wrote down goals or those who vocalized goals achieved more goals than the people who didn't vocalize. People who wrote down goals achieved more than the people who vocalized goals. Those who wrote down and looked at their goals repeatedly achieved the most goals, and it was by an exponential amount. So I think it's just super, super important to remember, like, if you're here for your family, if you're here for these guys, but, I think this is so, so critically important. Anyway, any questions?
I wanted to just back you up there with your first statement about the SEAL Team Admiral, Admiral McCraven. I don't know if all of you have ever seen that video about motivation. I think if you have teenagers, it is the ultimate motivator. It was the Texas A&M a commencement speech from a Texas A&M graduate, the SEAL Team Admiral, and it was really about putting your bed together to start the day, but by the end of it, you kind of want to go climb San Juan Hill. It was very impressive, and nice to know that Jed supported the geopolitical world and oil and gas, so your two associations probably had a good day today.
See, I was
kind of a horrible day.
I was going to play Rocky as motivation, but this works.
Other than that, I'll just clean up when I'm done.
Retirement.
The 19-minute version, not the.
Yeah.
There's a 4-minute version.
It's already, there's a 4-minute?
Yeah, not the short one. The 19-minute one is the one to watch.
The question is. We don't have 19 minutes.
Yeah, we don't have 19 minutes. Yeah, that's why.
It's well worth your time.
That's why I clicked on it. So we'll start cleaning up. But does anybody have any questions before this closes?
No.
Thank you.
Matt, is that helpful?
Thanks, Matt. Good job.
Thanks.
Yes.
Outserts here indeed change the world. But the question is, what will the world look like after you change it? Well, I'm confident that it will look much, much better. But if you'll humor this old sailor for just a moment, I have a few suggestions that may help you on your way to a better world. Now, while these lessons were learned during my time in the military, I can assure you that it matters not whether you ever served a day in uniform. It matters not your gender, your ethnic or religious background, your orientation, or your social status. Our struggles in this world are similar, and the lessons to overcome those struggles and to move forward, changing ourselves and changing the world around us, will apply equally to all. I've been a Navy SEAL for 36 years, but it all began when I left UT for basic SEAL training in Coronado, California. Basic SEAL training is 6 months of long, torturous runs in the salt sand, midnight swims in the cold water off San Diego, obstacle courses, unending calisthenics, days without sleep, and always being cold, wet, and miserable. It is 6 months of being constantly harassed by professionally trained warriors who seek to find the weak of mind and body and eliminate them from ever becoming a Navy SEAL. But the training also seeks to find those students who can lead in an environment of constant stress, chaos, failure, and hardships. To me, basic SEAL training was a lifetime of challenges crammed into 6 months. So here are the 10 lessons I learned from basic SEAL training that hopefully will be of value to you as you move forward in life. Every morning in SEAL training, my instructors, who at the time were all Vietnam veterans, would show up in my barracks room, and the first thing they'd do was inspect my bed. If you did it right, the corners would be square, the covers would be pulled tight, the pillow centered just under the headboard, and the extra blanket folded neatly at the foot of the rack. It was just a test. Mundane at best, but every morning we were required to make our bed to perfection. That seemed a little ridiculous at the time, particularly in light of the fact that we were aspiring to be real warriors, tough battle-hardened SEALs.
No. So I do make my bed every morning, but it doesn't look like that. Anyway, thanks, guys.
I'll check it out.
Thank you, Matt.
Good job, Matt.
Is that helpful?
So you just sell stuff is what
I just sell stuff, Helio. I just sell stuff.
I'm just gonna sell stuff.
But no, so I mean, our life is not that difficult, like, right? But it's not that hard. So, but to have a little bit of discipline and some strategy and some organization goes a long way. Bye, everyone on the phone.
We love you, Matt.
Thank you.
Bye. Amy, do a push-up.
Yes.
I know, I was motivated when I saw it. I was like, I'm gonna get there.
You guys should feel the love, because everyone Matt teaches to is less out there, she gets to sell.
Hey, that was really well done. I learned a lot.
I bet you did. Are you gonna sell an outsert today?
You could. I've got email.
Can I make a back?
No, she's not taking any dessert. She's giving them up.
Are you still on the phone?
Oh.
Another week.
Okay.
Now you hung up.
How do you hang up?
No,
Thank
I
you for inviting
we
me.
did it.
Helpful? Useful? Absolutely.